Welcome back, and hello if you are new. So, hotly tipped as one of the most anticipated death metal releases of the year, Gatecreeper single-handedly rewrote that entombed manuscript with their previous effort, Sonoran Deprivation. And now they're here to do it all over again with their brand new album, Deserted. Gatecreeper may not be the fastest, most brutal, or any of the other superlative adjectives that are so often used to describe this genre, but instead what they do is strike with power and purpose. Knowing when to pull back the reins, let go ever so slightly, and then let the fucking horse go absolutely hell for leather, it's this element of songwriting for me that truly elevates them above their entombed worshipping peers. Setting the morbid scene with the title track Deserted, it's the first example of the many that we see dynamics used to absolutely brilliant effect on this record. Riffs creep forward with, what could be a slight change in a guitar riff, so it might be palm muted and then it's going to be open, or the drums slowly but surely will build up momentum on the kicks. And it is this that, again, it creates that tension. Let's take From the Ashes, for example, and dissect it. First time round on the verse, we see the riff repeat, but the drums change from what was previously a groove to this more kind of double pedal oriented style. But then the guitar pulls back slightly as well to allow for some more space. On top of this, we're added with slight leads before it goes into what I like to call the Amon Amarth riff, which is that really quite elevated but also deeply melodic riff. Now, on the surface, that may seem like a simplistic song, but that takes months and even years of tweaking, rearranging, and really intense songwriting to understand what they need and what they need to cut out. With that in mind, Deserted makes inspired use of space, and for me, on this record, it's more about what you don't say than what you do. Particularly evident on Everlasting, where space is used to make those punching sections even more defined. Where drums are concerned, again, it reminds us of this purpose for the song. It doesn't necessarily have to be ridiculously technical or the heaviest drums you've ever heard, but every instrument on this album, but drums in particular, always have the song's focus in mind. Puncture Wounds and Barbaric Pleasures, for example, follow very much a, punk style of drumming, but when we look at the guitars, the riffs are very much in a death metal sort of sound. So it's the composite of these two, which I think is really interesting. Ruthless is another example, making use of that slowly but surely climbing riff until we get to that steamroller sound that Gatecreeper is so great at. And, it's a technique which has been used on Power Trip's Nightmare Logic, for example, where they play the same riff over and over and it gets you going. But it's the way that the song is crafted, because that could very easily be very boring. And then, of course, you've got the Paradise Lost-esque style on Boiled Over, where these leads, bring this forlorn, quite gothic sound to the band. I also find that Gatecreeper are honouring the greats. For example, on the Hammer Smashed Face style riff on Everlasting, or the Morbid Angel worship on In Chains. And it all wears its death metal heart on its sleeve. Final track Absence of Light also ends things on the band's own terms, with a quite gothic sounding Paradise Lost-esque song that really does not leave your head. And I think that's the most important thing to take away from Deserted, is that these songs are incredibly well written. They're fantastically well written, and each time you listen to them, not only do you kind of become more and more familiar with them, but they have this replay value, which you don't see very often with death metal, particularly this HM2 Entombed stuff, where a lot of the time the tracks do sound very similar. For fans who are looking for something a little bit less caveman, you probably won't find much here on Gatecreeper, but if you like nuances, dynamics, and really, really clever songwriting, then I think you will absolutely love Deserted. It's definitely on par with Sonorant. If anything, it's even better than Sonorant Deprivation. Thank you so much for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, hit that like and subscribe button. Be sure to check out all my other album reviews, interviews, and all the other content that I've got up here on my channel. Let me know what you think in the comments section, and I'll have a chat with you. And I will see you next week for another album review. Alright, take care, friends.